For this project, we've got ourselves a 1986 Honda Rebel CMX250C. Picked up this bike a few weeks ago and needs a few items to be fixed up and repaired. I already drained all the fluids, oil, gas, put in new spark plugs, and it fires up and seems to run well. However, one thing I noticed was we have a lack of tail lights. I picked up some new signal lights for the rear. Let's install them today. I have the original service manual with this bike. I bought it on eBay, and it's pretty helpful because it's going to tell us how the rear tail lights are wired in. There is the main wiring harness that comes from underneath the seat, and this wiring harness comes over and controls all of the lights in the rear of the bike. The brake tail light, the two turn signals, as well as the light over the license plate. Since this bike does not have any turn signals on the rear, I need to investigate whether this harness is actually present underneath. And so that's going to be the first thing we do, is look under here and see if we can take this box apart and look for the right wires.
And use an 8mm socket to remove the bolt that holds the plastic cover in place, and there are two little tabs on the sides that are keeping it held in, so use a screwdriver to just release the tension on them, and you're able to kind of just pull the plate right out. The wiring harness seems to be intact. The wiring harness contains all four connectors of power and ground for both lights, which is fantastic. That means that whoever removed the old turn signals simply just pulled the wires, and we can use the same bullet connectors that are on the new lamps.
So what we're going to do is we're going to install the lights first and then run the wires back to that harness. So to do that, we need to get these wires through the hole. And tightening it for now. Still need a bit more, it's a little loose. Now let's work on the same process for the other side. Running these wires, they have a little metal tab here for the wire to sit in. That way it doesn't get caught on anything else. So you might need to bend that metal tab open a little bit just so the wire can sit inside. There we go. Just like that. And then I'm just pushing the tab back with my finger. Now the wire is snug. We encountered a slight problem, and that is this light on the right side has its wire come on the inside of the fender. It has to cross over the tire into this box in the back, and the hole to enter the box where the rest of the wire harnesses is on the left side. And the cable of the wires that were supplied with the light are barely long enough to just enter into this housing where the harness is. So I think I will need to buy some wires and extend it and make the wires a bit longer. Ran out to auto parts store and picked up some 18 gauge wire and butt connectors, so that way I can extend the leads on this right turn signal. Going to cut these wires, and I will install the butt splice in between. And I measured, and looks like I'll need to extend the wires by about, I think 6 inches should be sufficient. So this is interesting because I want to keep these bullet connectors on the wire, and I can't really easily remove them without damaging them. So that means when I put this splice in, I'm going to actually end up with 2 sets of butt connectors. But I think that's okay. And I'm going to insert this splice as kind of far back as I can. I think that'll be the best. All right, should be good to go. Let's reinstall its light now that we've got a much longer wire, and see if we can connect it to the harness. Be careful putting these butt connectors through. I'm going to do them one at a time. Oh, they just barely fit. Trying not to tug on the wires. I think this is perfect. Got this. Tucking the wires now into the little side clips, and there's also one on the rear here, up high. And that should just kind of keep the wire from shaking loose. So now I've got the wires for the right turn signal and the wires for the left turn signal. I don't know which of the connectors is which, so I'm going to turn the right blinker on. And we will see which one this is. And here's the right light, which is good. I'm going to just gently tuck those in. And then I'll get the ones for the left. Snug those in. Change the blinker to the other side. Nothing. There it goes. Now the astute observers will notice that they are not actually blinking. We will need to keep investigating, but at least now we have signals on the back of the bike, which is pretty important. The blinkers work when there's extra voltage. Not sure why. That could mean that the signal relay is bad and it needs more oomph to get going. Not entirely sure, but at least I know everything is wired correctly. So now I'm going to push these connectors further in and button up this back area. Stick out a bit, but rather have them than not have them. And I don't know why they were missing from the original. And these lights that I got, they're the same style as the original signals on the front. However, these, well, you know what? These are plastic as well. I kind of wonder if the original OEM turn signals actually had metal housings, but these are cheap plastic. And I did not opt to get LED versions of these because that requires changing the turn signal relay and doing a little bit of extra wiring. I figured that for the amount of time that the turn signals are on, the extra voltage for these lights is insignificant. Our biggest bang for the buck is going to be the tail light, the headlight, and believe it or not, the license plate light. All right, we're all done.